Hello Channel NITT viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In this episode, we're going to talk about the compatibility between the Isfj and the Intj. Incidentally, the Isfj and the Intj are the MBTI types that I am most familiar with because I have the most Isfj and Intj friends. So technically, are the Isfjs and the Intjs compatible? Of course, for sure, there will be success cases. So definitely in this world, we will be able to find INTJs that are happily married to an ISFJ. But I would say that this is a very rare incident. So in my personal observation, I have a lot of INTJ students. They do not form cliques with the ISFJs. So the INTJs tend to form cliques with other N types, intuitive types, or the thinking types. So it is possible that the INTJ may be friend with an INFJ or maybe friend with an INTP, but very rarely with an SF type. They just don't have anything in common to talk about. When the INTJ cracks a joke, the ISFJ is very likely to take it very literally. So this makes the INTJ roll eyes. So unless the INTJ is forced to know this ISFJ at a deeper level, most of the time the ISFJ will be dismissed. The INTJ is very unlikely to want to know an ISFJ at a deeper level unless they were forced to do so. So examples in which they were forced could be like relatives, co-workers, teammates, that kind of thing. In general, if you look at the cognitive stacks between the INTJ and the ISFJs, it's totally different. This means that the INTJ's lifestyle and the ISFJ's lifestyle don't click. There is no match. So the way these two MBTI types conduct their day-to-day matter is so different, you can't expect them to be able to live together peacefully. I am also curious to know what do the INTJ and the ISFJ do as a couple during their free time. It is very likely that each of them will be content to do their own things. So maybe the INTJ reads his or her own book, then the ISFJ does some cooking. So they are in the house but they are doing separate things and both of them will be happy to do so. So this to me is an equilibrium position that both can maintain as a couple. Usually I don't know what they might want to do together because they are very different. So INTJs and ISFJs, if you are in a relationship with the other counterpart, would you mind telling us what you tend to do together as a couple together? Because in this regard, I do not know. So in my personal context, I do not know of any ISFJ, INTJ couples. But there are a lot of ISFJs in a relationship in the INTJ in the form like a teacher-student relationship, that kind. The ISFJ and the INTJ tend to have very different social needs. So this is another potential problem between the two of them when they are in a relationship. So I would think that the best possible outcome for the two MBTI types is that they remain as friends, because that will be very comfortable for each of them. When the INTJ wants to pull out of this relationship, they just ghost the ISFJ. Simple as that. So it's comfortable. In terms of communication, the INTJ tends to communicate in very abstract ways. However, the ISFJ tends to communicate in very concrete ways. So this might bore the INTJ, and similarly, the ISFJ may not be able to understand the INTJ totally. But if the ISFJ does make an effort, then the ISFJ will understand that the INTJ is actually very logical in the way they think. So there are only two types of people that might interest the INTJ romantically. The first type would be ones who could give the INTJ intellectual stimulation. In this case, ISFJ fail. The second type is that the INTJ is willing to be vulnerable to this other individual. Because to the INTJ, this is going to be very hard. Once the INTJ feels that they are comfortable being vulnerable to this individual, then they are willing to be in a relationship with them. So when we look at that, it is possible that the ISFJ can make the INTJ vulnerable. So we never know about that. But still, I would say the probability is very low, but not impossible. The good thing is I do find that there are two similarities between the INTJ and the ISFJ. So the first similarity between the INTJ and the ISFJ is that they both like to plan in advance. So in this case, the INTJ and the ISFJ can coexist because they do not like their plans to be disrupted. Both also don't like to. So a second similarity between the ISFJ and the INTJ is that both these types prefer a slower pace of life. And because of that, they are not likely to be stressed with each other's pace in life. However, they have one similarity that may be a potential landmine, and that is both these types are not confrontational. They might bottle up their feelings, especially the ISFJ. The ISFJ is not a confrontational type of a person, so when there is conflict, they will just swallow it in. At one point in time, when they could no longer take it, then there may be a catharsis. Now the thing is, both the INTJ and the ISFJs are likely to shy away from confrontation because confrontation is very overstimulating for both these types. So this potentially could cause damage to their relationship because they fail to want to bring things up to the surface and have a good discussion and rectify the matter. Nonetheless, if an INTJ does decide to fall in love with an ISFJ, vice versa, then there is a lot of discussion that they need to do at every point in their life so that they can move ahead together in tandem. So again, as I was saying, not an impossible pairing, but just a difficult pairing. So how do you like this episode? This episode is in response to one of our viewers' requests. So if you as a viewer have something that you want us to do as well, do comment below so that we can look into it. And if you are new to our channel, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more MBTI and fun stuff. Okay, I am going to sign off now and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye!